Hello, everyone. We will wait for a couple of minutes for more people to join. There is a question about sharing the recordings if registered. I believe yes, all of this will be shared and put somewhere in a public domain where you can revisit afterwards. Okay, so I think we can start. So thank you again for joining. Today we will go step by step in one real life situation where we were using a DevOps platform to create and to bring to life an idea. So I will show you what was the idea. And my name is William, and I am part of the technical marketing group. And here are my social networks and GitLab handle in case you want to see the projects I've been working on and the repos. And also part of the demo I will be showing today is public. And if you see something interesting that you would like to reuse, you can follow me on GitLab and clone the project or click on start. So, all right. So as I said before, I want to show you that we had an idea that we needed to develop, how we did it using a single application. And this single application is GitLab DevOps platform. So let's discuss the world of ideas. This could be an idea for inside your company. This could be for your startup or as a side project. In this case, it doesn't matter the category in which it falls. I will show you how by using a single application that helps you to navigate the different stages to go from something that is in your head to something that is tangible or other people can benefit from it. You can use the DevOps platform and DevOps practices to speed up and make basically your life easier. So my idea, pretty simple one, that is actually related to the first question about sharing this recording, was to create an e-learning platform for employees, where what we wanted to do was to start with some MVC, some minimal viable product, where I could, for example, have a chatbot, a virtual assistant where people can ask about learning tracks or different availability of courses, or as an MVC, a chatbot that can interact with people while visiting the website. We wanted this to be a cloud native application, meaning that we wanted to use Docker containers deployed to Kubernetes clusters and so on. So the idea was an e-learning platform. So let's think for a while, let's step back. And what are the usual things that when you want to implement or code an idea you go through even before writing the first line of code? It's very important to plan, and after executing something, to plan better. And only if you have monitoring and you can go back to what you did, is that you can say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, let's do this, more of that, or let's avoid this. So to do that, for example, in my case, for this MVC that we call in GitLab a minimal viable change, or it could be also seen as the pilot. Let's call it now the pilot project. So we define some sort of milestones, different tasks. We involve design to sketch a UI of how this should look like, and absolutely relevant the architecture. what is the architecture of the application, what is the infrastructure that will support this application. And once we define this, so we also need to think about the CI/CD practices, like how the different people that they need to collaborate and contribute with code or do testing or different steps that will bring this idea to life, how we incorporate these people into the process. And when all of these things are checked, how can I deploy my application to production? Because the idea behind all of this is that we want to test ideas fast. And by testing them fast and in a secure way that I'm not introducing code vulnerabilities, for example, I need to deploy faster. And that's where a single application of DevOps, like such as the GitLab DevOps platform, can help me to speed up this process and make my life easier. So these 3 sticky notes where I put the different like starting steps to create this project, how many systems or tools do you think are needed to achieve this? And today, how many are out there? So I will do a little pause so you think of the answer to this question. Okay, and now I will show you that it's very cool if you are quite a lot into liking technology to learn all these tools is great, but you know what is cooler to deliver. So all of these tools that help you to do many things, at the end of the day, they can slow down your delivery cycle and development. And this complexity of tools that you have to integrate. And if you have seen, for example, I remember when I was working on customer side, there were many tools that they were very good and we wanted to use, but the architecture group from the company, they were saying, no, we already have this complex ecosystem. We already do this with this application. And if you want to bring another application into the ecosystem of the company, like bill of materials, you will have to go through different challenges, such as getting the approval from the security architects, getting the approval from the team of maintenance, and RFP, RFI, all these things. So every time that there is a new tool that needs to be introduced, for example, in a company, this will have to face a lot of obstacles in order to install it and implement it. And that's just the beginning, to maintain it. So one advantage of having a DevOps platform as a single application is that many of these things can be integrated underneath, and you only have to worry about how can I collaborate and deliver faster. So the idea I shared in the beginning for the ones that just joined is that we wanted to create a simple e-learning platform. And we started with a very limited scope in which what we want to do is to have an UI where people can navigate, potentially chat with a AI-powered chatbot that can answer questions or tell jokes. For example, in an MVC, the chatbot is only telling jokes. So I will share with you what were the steps to execute this one idea in a single application. So I am a fan of BPM and BPMN. So I like to put things in a process. So it's easy to follow where are we and what are the steps that we are touching, like create a stage, planning, this for CI, CD, and monitoring. So first of all, we create a project. So I will show you here this idea that I'm referring to. This is the project in GitLab, and this is where all the code resides for this application. So we create a project. Okay, good, easy. That was easy. We develop in our local environment. We push to the remote that is my GitLab project. And very importantly is that now, as I said, it's very important before starting to write any line of code to do some planning and do better planning every time. And how we do this? So here in the same project, under this option of issues, we can see that we can create GitLab issues. That what they are, it's a way in which we can create and discuss ideas, track tasks and the work status of these ideas, discuss the implementation of them, elaborate on code implementations, and even bring designs where designers and developers can talk and say, yes, this could be doable or not. And these issues are the way in which I start a unit or a task where people can bring discussions and create merge requests to collaborate with code. I can also use another thing that is called milestones, that this will help me to track the progress of my project. So remember that we were discussing that one of the very important things that we should do before even writing a line of code is to define the architecture. So I have a milestone that is the defined architecture. How do we want this architecture to look like? We say that it's a cloud native application, so we have to know this. And the issue associated to this milestone, I will see it here. And a project manager or someone that is paying attention to the status of the project and how is it going, they will have visibility of the progress and the status of different tasks. And also you can have the issues that I show as a list. You can see them in a board-like way, where, for example, developers, they can prioritize their work and they give priority to what they want to work. Also, as a project manager or lead, technology lead, or whoever is interested, they can have a view of what it's open, what are the issues that we still haven't started working, what has been complete, and so on. Okay, so we were saying that we create a project. Now we have to define milestones and issues to have visibility of what are the steps that will build these incrementals that will allow me to bring to reality my idea. And one possible artifact that comes out from defining this is that we define the application architecture. And I don't know if this has happened to you when you maybe come to a new company and you have to do something in some project and you say, where is the documentation? Where is the architecture of the application? And no one knows. It may be in some email or on some drive, and it's very difficult to find what is the application architecture. This is one thing that I have seen. So what a better place to put the application architecture, at least for this POC, than in the wiki of the project. So in the very same project where I have the code, where I have the issues, where I have the milestones, I can also put this draft or this outline of how the architecture looks like. So if I am a new developer or new DevOps engineer or another person, a new person in the project, and I want to know what is this, how is this deployed, how does this looks like? So, and also for this, for illustration purposes in this presentation, this is what we are actually implementing. So we create two different pods. We use Kubernetes to deploy the application, and there is a data layer, a data persistence layer, and the main script. All of these things run in a container and Kubernetes clusters, and we have an ingress service from that we will use to interact with this application from the outside world. So this is the architecture of this POC, of this pilot. So, okay, we define the application architecture, good, we can find it in the wiki. Now, if someone wants to collaborate or to create something, let's say to add something, some functionality, so this is where we go and we create a merge request. So to create a merge request, we can start from the issues. So remember, we said that an issue is something that I can use to discuss the implementation of a feature or an idea. And when I come here, for example, this is a example issue that we need to edit something in the navigation link. And when I click here on merge request, we'll do a little zoom on merge request. What this will do is that now I'm creating a branch in which I can collaborate with code if I want. And I can do this from my local environment, or in this case, like I'm showing here, you can use the integrated web IDE and work. If it's a small change, for example, that we just want to change something in the code. Let's say that I want to change this and an easy change. So it's very easy just to change this and then commit. And when I commit the changes to my code, this will start a pipeline. So here, once I change something in my code, as you can see, this integration with GitLab CI is automatically starting a pipeline that will do the different steps that need to be executed in order to test, to build the images, to do, for example, test coverage, and get an ephemeral environment that will allow me to test the application before I deploy to production. So let's see how this looks like. So I made this little change, and this little change triggered automatically all these steps. And here we are building the main image. And what is one of the things that are very cool from this? That let's go back 1 second to the main repository. So here you can see we have a stage that is called build image. And this, what it's doing is that it's coming here and it's reading these Docker files that I have in my project. So I have a predefined Docker file in my project. This is the script that I show you in the architecture that will be the main script that is served in a pod in a Kubernetes cluster. And what this is doing here is that it's reading that Docker file and it's building the image. And once the image is ready, it will go through different stages, such as testing to, for example, find out if there are code vulnerabilities, if someone let some of the credential tokens somehow in the code, if the license was added to the code, and many others. There are different here. Just for illustration purposes, I am using one of the out-of-the-box security scanners that they are included in templates from GitLab CI. You could add more. And another step that is the analyze if there are unit tests associated to different parts of the script from different parts of the code, and the review environment that this is. I will show you what we get once this pipeline is able to go through all of these steps. Will serve me an ephemeral environment where I can try my application and review it even before deploying it to production. So as you can see, this continues. This is going on, and let's go to a already finished merge request, so we don't have to wait for all of these things. So let's assume that we wait. The pipeline, like in this case, I made a little change and the pipeline was executed. All the steps were successful. Now we have the possibility here in the merge request view that if I click in view app, I will see that I can go to the application as it looks like. And as you can see, here is a review environment. This is not the actual production or staging. This is an ephemeral environment that this is thanks to GitLab integration with Kubernetes. What this is doing is that every time that there is a change and I want to see if the application builds and how it looks like, this integration between GitLab and Kubernetes is allowing me and is providing me with this environment where you can easily imagine that someone, a project manager, another developer, they can just come here and see how it looks like, click around and just try and taste the application before accepting or deploying it to production. And we have access to that through the view app button that we have here in the merge request view. So in a similar fashion, we can see what were the changes that we did, what was the pipeline associated to that change, the number of the commit, and the view app. So all of these things are thanks to the GitLab Kubernetes integration, and also because we defined it that we wanted our application to be cloud native. So that's why we can also take advantage of this type of integrations. And very important to things to notice in this view. I made a change in a file that is an HTML, and this is optional, but very important. You could say that you require approval when certain file extensions they have changes. In this case, we say that every time that someone changes a file that ends in HTML, we need the approval from the product designer. This person will say yes or not. So in this case, this can't be merged and start a production pipeline until this person approves this change. And also, as you can see here, there are different reports that were executed while running the pipeline, and they are telling us that it was able to find some potential vulnerabilities in our code. So what this is doing is that we are, before deploying to production, we have the opportunity to scan our code for vulnerabilities. And if I click here, we can have a full report of what it found. It can tell us the security issues, if there was a license applied to the file. And for example, this one is even telling us that the type of vulnerability that it found and where I introduce it, and it's telling me the file and the line of code where it found it. So you could create an issue from here or involve security architects or someone that could say, we can dismiss or no, or you have to change this before I accept the merge request. So, and therefore we can deploy it to production. So as you can see in this merge request view, we have an overall picture of all the things that were implied when I did that commit and I executed the pipeline. So GitLab CI with GitLab continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So here I have another view where this is the designer. This is the person that we will need to approve. And if this person approves, and let's say that we say yes, everything's fine, we can go on, then you can start the merge request of this change. So this, let's see where are we in our project. So we went through, we opened the web IDE, we made some change in a HTML file of the front of our application. This involved an approval from the designer. We went through building the images, reading the Docker files that are present in our project. This brought with it a set of tests to let us know if we are introducing code vulnerabilities or not, if the license was properly attributed or not. And this gave us a review environment. That is when we click on view app, and this gave me this ephemeral review environment that I could try. So once I said I am happy with everything and I want to deploy to production, this will start up another pipeline that will end up deploying the application in a similar fashion, but with the target will be my production cluster in Kubernetes. So now, for example, if I go here and I click on environments, you can see that we have different environments and visibility of those. For this application, the one that is already in production, I can see that I have a set of pods running, and these dots here are canary deployments where maybe I could be trying some new feature that I don't want to roll out entirely in production. I have my staging environment, and this is all thanks to the GitLab to Kubernetes integration that I have been demoing because it was also an architecture requirement. So remember, let's go back to this part of the pipeline. If I come here to CI/CD and I can see all the pipelines that are running. So there was a step in this pipeline that was the test coverage step. And I want to use another project to show you how it looks like. So you can consider this is another project where that it shows us only that step of test coverage in action. How it looks like. Imagine that these are this is the code, and I made some merge request, and this is the changes that I added. So what I can see here is that in this job, when this job gets executed, these red lines here, this red color, is telling me that it didn't, that job in the pipeline is telling me that it didn't find a test associated to this function. So it's telling me you didn't test this, or at least my report is telling me that there is no coverage, test coverage for this function. So again, this is allowing us to, before merging any changes, having visibility, not only if I am introducing security vulnerabilities, but also if my code is being tested. And all of this can happen out of the box when I use GitLab CI and I add the security and test coverage templates. And now, so let's go back to this pipeline, to the project, and I will show you this pipeline that we just execute, how it looks like. So this is our famous GitLab CI YAML file. And as you can see here, what I'm doing is that I am adding different templates. And one template is example, the one we were showing that let me know if the license were applied. Let me know if you find other code vulnerabilities. If someone let some token or credential. And the code quality one is the one that I just showed that is telling us, listen, in your merge request, I see a function that doesn't have a test associated to it. So all of this is happening thanks to these templates that I'm including. As you can see, I can get a lot of things done out of the box by using these tools. And here we can also see the different steps of building the images. And something that I wanted to highlight, that at least I find it very convenient, is that in this job of building an image, I am using these variables that they are already configured when I am executing a pipeline within GitLab platform. So I am saving some time here and hassle of configuring tokens to communicate with an external container registry, because what we are doing here and where we are creating these images and we are pulling these images. We are one parenthesis. Someone is asking if this repository is public, and yes, this is public. You can use it, and then you can. I will be happy if you click on start and let me know if you were able to reproduce some of this in your own environment, and give us feedback as well. So what I'm doing here is that I'm creating the image, and this job is very simple because I don't have to configure credentials for other container registries, because here in GitLab, under packages and registries, as you can see, I have my own container registry. So all this integration of, I create an image like the one I'm creating for this cloud native application using my Docker file. I create it, I push it to my own container registry, and when the rest of the jobs from my pipeline, they require this image to continue operating, to do the test, to run all these things, they are pulling the image from my own container registry here in GitLab. And I don't have to deal with more lines in a YAML file configuring credentials with an external thing. I'm just using the environment variables, and this is just making my life easier. All right, so we were here, we reviewed the application, and we deployed to production. So let me show you how our production environment looks like. So I was mentioning something, so you can see here I have production. This is how I know there is production. So I have deployed a virtual assistant that I can chat with it, and at the moment it's only telling jokes. So because as I say, MVC. Okay, you should train me to be fun. All right, yeah, it's an MVC. We are just trying, it's a pilot in which we are saying we want to deploy an application, cloud native, with a virtual assistant associated, and we want to see all of these things interacting. So something very cool, and almost to wrap up this process of my idea execution, is that we need monitoring. You don't do much if you cannot measure how things are going, what needs to be changed, and in general, the health and performance of the application. So to show that here, this bot, this chatbot that we were chatting, is part of a GitLab project that I am calling here. And because it's all cloud native and is deployed in a Kubernetes cluster in a similar fashion that I just showed you with the GitLab CI YAML file, that everything I do here is being deployed to Kubernetes, I can have access to system metrics that are provided by the cluster. And I can here in GitLab, if you go to monitor under metrics, you can see, for example, the usage, CPU usage, memory, and different metrics that can tell you what's up, how is it going in the application that you created and you deployed to GitLab. And this is thanks to an integration between GitLab and Prometheus, that it happens under the hood. So these things are as easy as you come here to settings, integrations, and you enable your integration with Prometheus, for example, or other tools that you have for monitoring. In this case, we are using Prometheus, which is open source. And something very cool that I wanted to show here is that you can also define custom business metrics. So in this case, we want to know how many jokes the chatbot has told. So here we can see that before I started preparing to execute this demo, I wasn't asking the bot to tell me any joke, but then I asked at some point before, and now here I can start having visibility that one request was done to the pod where this microservice or this bot lives, to the container the pod where the bot was deployed, and you can extrapolate this example to something more from your own that makes sense to your own business or your own idea. At the end of the day, what we are doing is that we are just saying, here I have more input because I just refreshed the metrics, and how that this looks like. And what I wanted to say is that you can then think of, here is just an example saying, I want to see how many jokes the bot has told, but you can say, This could be an endpoint to a shopping cart. This could be an endpoint to a click of subscribe or a click of contact of tell me more. And if that click to subscribe makes sense in your business, so this is maybe something that you want to monitor. This is a custom business metric that you want to have visibility right away in the project. There is a story from, and here I'm showing the how you can collect logs from that service, from that endpoint, in this case, the chatbot, and serve it to Prometheus, and then put it in a nice dashboard under GitLab, under the same umbrella. You don't have to go to other tools. You don't have to click somewhere else to put other credentials to learn, for example, how many jokes the chatbot has told. That, as I was saying, in your case, it could be how many clicks on subscription, how many clicks in learn more, something that makes sense for your use case. And it's very simple. We are, in this case, this application, so we import the Prometheus library, and we say that every time that there is a call to this endpoint, please put it into this HTTP server. And from here, adding this line of code is where GitLab can take it. I mean, Prometheus can take it, and GitLab integration with monitoring can then serve us this report and give us these nice dashboards. Like, for example, this one that just here, this one that is blue is the second joke that I asked while I was demoing this to you, when the bot said that you should try me to be funny. So as you can see, now the sky is the limit. You could think of what makes sense for you and instrument your application, adding different business metrics. A story from real life is that once I have a friend that he's a DevOps engineer, and once we were doing a thought exercise, and I asked him, what will happen if you don't show up tomorrow to work? What will be the consequence of you, the DevOps engineer, not being there? And then he said, all we do is to monitor. It was a telco company where they were selling data packages and mobile packages. And he said, all we do is to monitor that button that says click on pay, it's up. Because if that button is not up, it means that the company is not making money because people cannot proceed to the payment gateway. And what they were doing was something very similar to this. They were just monitoring this part because that was what made sense to the business. I'm here monitoring how many jokes. You could monitor something like that and have it under the same umbrella, because if you are a DevOps engineer, for example, you are more comfortable being here in the repository where you can see the execution of your pipelines. You can see the infrastructure, the Kubernetes cluster, and also the metrics that matter to you. All right. So I want to wrap up showing you that we had an idea. Let's create a learning platform that we can have a cloud native application. If I want to change, we have to plan it, define. So we create issues, we create milestones, we put the architecture in the wiki of the project, so other people that are new to the project, they can come and read it. If you want to provide input or collaborate or enhance or go iterate, you can create merge requests and add code. This code will trigger CI pipelines and CD pipelines that at the end of the day will serve our application in production and will provide us these nice dashboards where we can monitor the application and see the performance of it. Another and last but not least is that under the analytics tab here, we can have different metrics that they can also be very helpful for different profiles in the company. This is what we call the VCM and value stream management. This project is quite new, so there are not necessarily many activities, but let's see this one test. So when I go to the value stream, I can see that the different stages of the application where we plan it, when we create issues, all the code that we contribute or commit to the project and test it, review it and send it to staging, I can have visibility of time. For example, how long is it taking us in this stage to test something, and what is the deployment frequency that we have, how many deploys. So also, if you want to measure and bring some analytics into your project and see from another perspective how it looks like, for example, how often I am deploying and how long is it taking for me to move from different stages. How long, for example, a merge request is open and is not closed. All these different things can give you an overview and find bottlenecks in your project. And all of this, as you can see here, is served under a single application, a DevOps platform that allows me to have analytics, my package registry, container registry, monitoring, see my deployments, my pipelines, security, issues, and the repository, and all of this under this GitLab project. And going back to the slide that I was showing you, that it's cool to learn different tools, but what is cooler is to deliver. In our case, we just needed to create the Flask application with the front, the GitLab CI YAML file, start committing code, collaborating, and all the heavy load and job is executed by these pipelines that we pre-configured. So you can think of this like a present that you give to your future self. You go through all of these things, the DevOps platform, bringing CI, CD, DevOps philosophy to your project, and then you can focus only in the things that are, at least in my case, the funnier things. I start coding and committing and pushing my code to the remote, and then GitLab will take care of all these stages and help me to push my application faster to production. So this is a platform that everything is integrated. It gives us visibility from different angles. As you could see, I can go to the project path and see milestones, the burn down, burn up charts, issues open, merge requests open. If I go to the value stream management, I can see how long it's taking me and different metrics like DORA metrics for my DevOps strategies or initiatives. And it enables us to be more efficient and collaborate, because as you could see, having everything under a single platform makes it easier. You don't need to worry that much about learning curves of different tools, credentials, single sign-on, and different things, and enables collaboration, like in the issues where people can open something, trigger the web IDE, collaborate with code quickly and commit. And at the end of the day, this is really saving time. All this process that I draw in the beginning, this is just saving time. When from a single commit to my remote project, I can go to a build image and a review environment where I can test my application. And if it went through all the stages successfully, I know that I'm not introducing code that hasn't been licensed or that is bringing vulnerabilities to production. So speed. So thank you for your attention. I hope it was entertaining and you witnessed from our idea how we develop it and how we are testing it and using many of the advantages and features from a DevOps platform, from GitLab DevOps platform, to bring an idea to reality. So if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer. There is a question that says, okay, yeah, someone, this link that is here, DevOps platform TMM, yes, this is the link of this project that I was demoing. Do we have any other question? Okay, there is another question. It says,
William, we have a question. Sorry, we have a question in the F&A box. Sergio is asking if the solution is possible leveraging GitLab CE and how much it costs. So we can provide the link to our handbook page when it comes to licensing. Mm-hmm. And maybe you want to answer the other question.
Yes. Yeah. So as per the cost, we can provide you the link and estimates. And if this solution is possible with GitLab's Community Edition, let me think if I'm using, I believe most of it, yes. I'm not sure if there are things specifically which ones are from the paid layer, but I will say that most of it, I mean, the GitLab, this part of the CI is totally doable with Community Edition. The review apps and the integration with Kubernetes cluster is also it's also possible. In this case, I'm using GitLab SaaS, serving the cloud, but it will be good if you try and let us know, but I am sure that most of it is possible. And also, if you keep an eye in the releases that we do every month, there are many instances and many cases where features that were paid, we make them available in the non-pay layer. Let's call it that. For example, in these environments, I think I might be wrong, but this used to be paid, and I believe it was made available to the community edition, these boards. So, but please double check, and we can also double check. I can try to run this from a community edition and let you know what happened. But most of this is available if you just use the community edition. Okay, you're welcome. So do we have any other question? Okay, seems like we don't have more questions. I will stop sharing my screen. All right, so thank you everyone. Thank you for being here, and I will then finish or Sarina, could you please finish and stop the recording? I don't see here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll end the meeting. So thanks everybody for attending, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.